I'll tell you when it's. All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. My name is Maureen Neefeld, and I am a student at Metropolitan State University of Denver. I am studying lifestyle medicine with an emphasis on wellness and a minor in pre-healthcare. Any advice that I offer you today should not override the information that you receive from your physician. Today, we will cover what stress is, the stress response, stress triggers, stress and at-risk behaviors, benefits of stress relief, strategies for stress relief, and finally, we will explore if blind people experience more stress. During today's presentation, we will also be practicing mindfulness exercises. So let's start by going around the room and introducing ourselves. I'd like everybody to say your name and one word that comes to your mind when you think of stress. And so I'll start and I'll just say, obviously, I already told you that my name is Maureen. And when I think of stress, I think of anxiety. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is stress? Stress is a biological and psychological response based on a threat that we don't feel that we have the ability to deal with. The stressor is the stimulus or stress that causes this stress. When we hear the word stress, we automatically think of a negative experience. We will be focusing on the negative effects of stress and how to combat them in today's presentation, but there are some benefits to stress. A good stress is known as eustress. You may have heard of the term fight or flight. This indicates that our body recognizes a stressor and takes the proper steps to get out of danger. This is a wonderful thing, but in today's society, we are dealing with what we call chronic stress. This means that our body is in a constant state of dealing with stress and is constantly responding to it with never getting a break. This is extremely detrimental to our health. When we are in a situation that our bodies decide is stressful, our hypothalamus at the base of our brain is activated first. It then sends signals to the pituitary gland and the adrenal medulla, and then we secrete a hormone called ACTH, which stimulates the adrenal glands. Hormones called corticosteroids are then produced. One of these is cortisol. Cortisol allows the body to maintain steady supplies of blood sugar, which allow us to cope with a steady and prolonged stressor. And then it helps the body to return back to normal. While this process is happening, our immune system is suppressed. Also, during this process, our bodies also secrete adrenaline, which prepares our bodies for the ability to flee danger. This activates our sympathetic nervous system and reduces activity in the nervous system. So in this response, our pulse increases, our blood pressure increases, and our digestion decreases. Once the threat is over, the parasympathetic nervous system takes back over and returns the body back to balance. There is no damage to the short-term response to stress. But what we are dealing with today is chronic stress. And where the danger lies is in this process happening continuously. Everyone experiences stress, and there are some common triggers of stress. So let's just go over some of the very common triggers. So major life changes are definitely triggers for stress. So this could be, a marriage, a new baby, a new job. It could be moving. All of these can be major stressors. Some other triggers include experiencing poor health, not eating well, struggling in personal relationships, dissatisfaction at work, commuting in traffic, and even things that we choose to watch and read. You may not be sure if you're experiencing chronic stress. Chronic stress has many effects on our health, and some symptoms can include headaches, fatigue, and low self-esteem. Chronic stress puts pressure on the body for extended periods of time and can affect the whole entire body. And symptoms can be both physiological and psychological. So let's just go over some other symptoms. They can be irritability, difficulty with concentration, rapid and disorganized thoughts, difficulty sleeping, digestive problems, changes in appetite, feeling helpless, perceived loss of control, feelings of nervousness, and frequent infections or illness. Over long periods of time, chronic stress can cause high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, weakened immune system, gastrointestinal disorders, respiratory infections, autoimmune diseases, insomnia, burnout, anxiety, depression. And so these are just some of the things that stress can cause. There are many other things as well. And I know we just covered a lot of information right here, so we can take a break at this point and I can answer some questions before we move on if anybody has any.
Does stress make you fat?
So stress can definitely cause some issues around appetite, and over prolonged periods of time, we know that this can lead to obesity. A lot of people do experience what we may call stress eating. So this can lead to obesity, but I wouldn't say that stress makes you fat, if that makes sense.
Okay. And so like fight or flight, I heard that with like cavemen and stuff like that, that like that's what they do. But do people really have fight or flight today, or is that like still something that we have, or is it just something that like just happens in our body?
Yeah, we still have the fight or flight, and that is when I'm talking about, that stress can be good and be a survival mechanism. That's our body's short-term response to stress when we perceive danger. And so it happens to our bodies in a short spurt where, we blood goes to our extremities, our heart can start to race. This prepares us for danger. So if we need to run, you may feel like even if you were to get scared and startled, right, your heart starts to beat and you like, I know for me, like I've been ready to dash. And that was my flight response. And that meant my sympathetic nervous system had kicked in and was preparing my body for the danger. And so that is good. Your body will return back to normal. Your heart will slow down. Your blood will start pumping regularly throughout your body. Your blood pressure will come down. And that doesn't cause any damage to the body. It's just this prolonged stress that we're talking about that causes damage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Okay. So we are now going to take part in an activity called progressive muscle relaxation. This was developed in the 1930s and has been used to help relieve stress, pain, and help treat insomnia. This activity helps you to be mindful of your body, and it is a process of tensing and relaxing all of your major muscle groups. So this is a great thing that you can do anywhere. It doesn't require any equipment. It doesn't require you to listen to anything. You can just run through this exercise in your mind even. And this is something that I find particularly useful when I lay down at night for bed, just to kind of clear my thoughts and not let, which I call it monkey brain, where your brain just kind of hops from thing to thing to thing to thing, and you find that you're not able to rest. This is definitely stress. This can be helpful in this situation. So I'm going to lead everybody through this exercise. And the first thing is that I would like you to make sure that you are in a comfortable position. So make sure you are seated comfortably. Your hands are resting in your lap. And I'm going to also invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with this. If you don't want to close your eyes, just kind of lower your gaze and focus downward so that you aren't looking around the room or stimulated by anything visually. So we're going to start down at our feet and we're going to progressively be moving up to our head. And like I said, we're going to be doing a series of tensing and relaxing, and we're going to be holding this tense muscle for 10 seconds. And so I will be guiding you through the tensing and also letting you know when to relax. So let's start first by taking 3 deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. And now that we've taken some deep breaths, we can feel our bodies already starting to relax as we settle into our seats. And we're going to start with tightening the muscles in our feet. And so to do this, you can point your toes and be conscious of holding this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax your feet. Now let's tense the muscles of our calves. And we're going to hold this again for 10 seconds. Now, I'm not going to count out loud anymore, but I will let you know when to release. And then you can relax the muscles of your calf. Be conscious of making sure that you remain breathing. Don't hold your breath at any point. Let's move up, and I want you to tense the muscles of your thighs or your quadriceps. And we're going to hold them here. And relax. Now let's tense the muscles of our abdomen. So think about drawing your belly button towards your spine and tightening all the muscles of your core. And we're going to hold for 10 seconds here, and I'll be minding the time. So just focus on tensing the muscle group of the abdomen. And release. Now let's tighten the muscles of our hands. And to do this, clench your hands into tight fists. Keep your arms down by your side. And relax. We can now tighten the muscles in our biceps like you're making strong arm. And flex those muscles and hold. And relax. Next, let's tighten the muscles of our shoulders, and we can do that by shrugging our shoulders up towards our ears and holding. And relax. We're finally going to tense the muscles of our face, and to do this, you can open up your mouth really wide and just get all those muscles of your face tight and hold for 10 seconds. And then relax. And now I want you to take 3 more deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to slowly bring ourselves back to present, and we can just kind of wiggle our toes and wiggle our fingers. I invite you to open up your eyes again and return back to present. Okay, so that was our first mindfulness exercise, and that was called progressive muscle relaxation. And like I said, this is something that you can do anytime that you're feeling some panic or anxiety. And this is a very helpful exercise. So now let's continue on, and we're going to talk about strategies for managing stress. There are some very easy strategies that help to manage stress. These can include accepting your needs and recognizing your triggers. When you're able to recognize your triggers, you can then avoid situations that cause you to be more agitated. Manage your time. This can help you to make sure that you do not feel overstressed or overwhelmed by day-to-day tasks and deadlines. Prioritizing your activities can help you use your time well. Practice relaxation. Deep breathing, meditation, and progressive muscle relaxation are good ways to calm yourself. Take a break and give yourself the ability to refocus. This takes you out of the stressful moments. Exercise daily. Daily exercise naturally produces stress relieving hormones in your body and improves your overall physical health. This can be as easy as just taking a walk, practicing yoga, or performing any type of daily movement that you enjoy. Set time aside for yourself. Schedule something that makes you feel good. Self-care is incredibly important for overall well-being and stress relief. This could be reading a book, going to a movie, taking a bath, getting a massage, or just taking a walk. Eat well. Eating well has been shown to help stabilize mood. Getting rid of processed foods and eating more fruits and vegetables is the foundation of a healthy body and mind. Get enough sleep. Some serious mental health issues can be triggered from not getting enough sleep. Avoid at-risk behaviors. People often think that drinking or using drugs can actually relieve stress. In fact, they often worsen stress. Make sure you talk to someone, whether it's to friends, family, a counselor, or a support group. Getting your feelings out and talking can be a huge help to relieve stress. You may also find the use of essential oils to be beneficial for reducing stress, and they also can help with promoting relaxation. A really common one, probably a lot of you have heard, is lavender. And so I did provide you with some handouts. You actually have 3 handouts, and this one handout that I'm talking about now contains a list of essential oils and how they can be used. And so feel free to keep that handout and review it. It has a lot of information on it. And we will be talking about the other 2 handouts I provided for you as well. So if you have followed all of these simple steps to relieve stress and you still aren't noticing any benefits, this may be a time to consult with a mental health professional and work with a specific action plan. So we're now going to do another interactive activity. This time around, we are going to do an activity in mindful eating. And so I have given everyone a piece of delicious chocolate. So please do not open or eat this quite yet. We are going to focus on all of our senses while doing this activity. The thought behind this is to take our minds out of what's happening in the stressful moment and just, get ourselves out of that and refocus ourselves and do this short activity. And then you can go about your daily routine again. So first, let's pick up your piece of chocolate while it's still wrapped. And so breathe in its aroma. Pay attention to how this makes you feel. Do you feel an anticipation for wanting to eat the chocolate? Does it maybe simulate a good memory? I know when I smell chocolate, I often might think of, holidays with my family because we didn't always have chocolate around that time. We didn't have it normally in the house. So now let's slowly unwrap the piece of chocolate. What does it sound like? Can you smell the chocolate more strongly? Are you starting to anticipate its taste? Now let's take another deep breath, breathing in the aroma of the chocolate, now that it's all unwrapped. How does the chocolate feel in your hand? Is it smooth and silky? Is the anticipation of eating the chocolate growing? Take one very small bite of your chocolate, chewing very slowly and enjoying the flavor. Think again about how this makes you feel. What is the texture? Is it sweet? Is it satisfying? Continue to eat this piece of chocolate, taking small bites and savoring each moment and checking in with all of your senses. This is another wellness technique, actually, that's called savoring the present. And it's just putting you into a positive moment that you're experiencing currently to help you get your body and your thoughts out of a stressful experience. Another great way to practice mindfulness is use mobile applications. I have provided you with another handout that has a lot of different apps on there, and they all can help with managing stress. Please refer to this handout and take a look and download what you think you might be most likely to use. There's a lot of apps on there, and different people resonate with different things. So find one that suits you. On your handout, it also does explain different levels of accessibility. Sometimes, as many of us have experienced, an app may not be accessible right when you're doing this setup, but then once you get past the setup, you'll find accessibility. And so each app kind of explains where that is in the accessibility world for us, and you may need some assistance to get these apps started and signed in, but then you'll find that you will be able to use them. So again, we covered a lot of information, so we can stop and take a break if anybody has any questions. If not, we can move on. So I'll just take a pause here a second and see if we have any questions.
So, what is mindfulness? Like, I've been hearing it a lot lately, and I know like what meditation is and like stuff like that, but what is it? What is like mindfulness?
A really simple way to explain mindfulness is just it's awareness, and it's just being conscious of what is happening to you at that time, and being mindful of being aware of your feelings and how you are feeling, and being able to check in with that. So it is a really kind of buzzword right now that we hear about all the time, is mindfulness. And so I think the easiest way to explain it is awareness.
And on the apps, or like what do you recommend? Because like sometimes my mind just goes like, I think you said like monkey brain, like a million things like at night when I'm trying to like lay in bed and fall asleep, and I just can't stop thinking of everything. Like what
Mhm.
is there anything that you use or that you recommend that like works really good for you to fall asleep?
Yeah, I really like, well, one thing I do, as I mentioned before, is the progressive muscle relaxation. Another app I like is Calm. I like listening to meditations. I find that they really help me just calm my mind a lot. And that app is on there. It's called Calm. Headspace is another one that has a lot of great things for relaxation and getting your mind out of that monkey brain. Another thing is, you can always just open up YouTube, and this is something that I do a lot. I open up YouTube on my phone and type in guided visualizations, and they just basically, that's what they do. They guide you through a visual exercise of explaining, like, you're laying in a field and you can feel the warm sun. And I love guided visualizations, and some of them are as long as like an hour, and I'm pretty much always asleep by the end of the guided visualization. So
Thank you.
sure. So the next thing we are going to explore is if blind people experience more stress than others. So adults and sighted older adults found that anxiety and depressive disorder, as well as, I'm going to start that part over, sorry. So research has shown that older individuals that have vision loss actually experience more depression and anxiety. This was found to be significantly higher in older adults that are experiencing vision loss. Vision loss is one of the leading causes of disability in the older population. In turn, depression and anxiety may cause a further decline in quality of life. By the year that we are in now, 2020, Depression is going to be the major cause of disease burden for older populations. Due to the demographic aging, the prevalence of visual impairment is constantly growing. 1/3 of visually impaired older adults experience clinically significant anxiety and depression. This is twice as high as the prevalence found in the general elderly population. Anxiety is the most common mental health challenge experienced by young adults who have vision loss. Adolescents that have vision loss experience more anxiety and depression. And research has also shown, though, that getting adjustment training in technology and independent living skills significantly will reduce this anxiety and depression. We know that so often these skills are not taught to our adolescents with vision loss. And some stressors could include navigating new environments, getting accessible materials, lack of trusted relationships, navigating social environments, and missing visual cues. Research has also shown that eye conditions like retinitis pigmentosa, where vision loss is constantly changing, can also cause increased anxiety. Stress and depression, when an individual is constantly dealing with changing vision, can really increase. They're not able to move past the grieving process of their vision loss because they're constantly losing vision. This can be a major source of anxiety and depression. When alternative techniques are not accepted by an individual that's losing vision, they're not able to cope with the stress of adapting. As we can see, research does show that vision loss is a source of stress and anxiety. Research also shows us that a great way to deal with this specific anxiety and stress is to get adjustment training. The strategies that I mentioned earlier are all also beneficial in this type of stress. But also, when specifically addressing stress reduction and vision loss, some helpful tips include making sure you are in control of your decisions, advocating for yourself, focusing on problem solving, not practicing avoidance techniques, finding a community where you feel understood and accepted. So we are now going to practice an exercise in physical awareness. So we're going to concentrate for the next few minutes on this particular exercise. So this is the third handout that I provided you. And so basically that is just a script for a physical awareness activity that we're going to be doing. And so this way you have this and can refer to this if you would like to continue this practice. So we're going to put everything else in our minds aside right now. This is a great exercise while having a panic attack or having feelings of acute anxiety. During a panic attack, you may be feeling that your body is playing against you. You may even start to blame yourself. Your body is overreacting when you're experiencing panic. It's sensing something as danger and it's overreacting to that. If panic or anxiety come up for you at any time, you can calmly acknowledge these feelings and know that they will calm down. This is a feeling that will not last forever and it can't cause any damage. You're not the only one who experiences panic attacks and anxiety. Know that you are not alone in this. Your mind and body are connected. And if you can have your mind tell your body to calm down, it will. So we're going to begin our exercise and I'm going to count down from 5. And with each number, let one worry go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want to invite you again to close your eyes or lower your gaze. Sit comfortably in a chair. Relax your arms by your side. Can you place your hands in your lap? So I just want to make you aware that for some people, they're not actually aware of the feelings of relaxation, and it might actually be a little uncomfortable. So if you feel any feelings of discomfort while you're in this relaxed state, just acknowledge that feeling and move on. Don't stay there. You can just observe the feeling. Relaxation can feel different for everyone. You may not experience the things that I'm going to mention, and that's okay. There are 4 main sensations I'm going to talk about to become aware of: warm hands and feet, a slow heartbeat, slow breathing, and loose, relaxed muscles. So now let's take some time, and I want you to bring your intention and your awareness to your hands and to your feet. Do they feel warm? Do they feel cool? Notice the temperature of your hands and feet. Can you imagine the sensation of your hands warming up? Can you imagine if your hands and feet were immersed in warm water? How would this feel? A feeling of comfort and ease. Just relax here and remain focusing on your hands and your feet and them growing warmer and more comfortable. If your hands are not warm, you could take some time here now and rub your hands together, creating friction to warm up your hands. This will give a sensation of warmth, and continue to allow yourself to be more physically aware of your hands and feet. Even slightly moving each finger and each toe. The next thing we're going to bring our awareness to is our heartbeat. Can you just be still and notice if your heart is beating? I also just want to mention to remember to breathe. Breathe deeply. If you're not able to notice your heartbeat, place one hand gently over your heart. Take the time to simply notice your heartbeat. So now let's remove your hand from your heart and see if you can still notice your heart beating. Imagine how your heartbeat feels when it quickens, like after climbing a set of stairs or engaging in some kind of exercise. And then now imagine your heartbeat returning back to normal and slowing down. We're going to turn now our awareness to our breathing. I want you to observe each breath coming in and out of your body. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, bringing all of your intention into focusing on this breathing. Imagine your breathing slowing down. Take notice of the air that you're breathing in. And then think about when your breath quickens, again, when you're exercising. And now be conscious of the feeling of how your breath feels as it slows. Be aware of your breath slowing down and returning back to normal. Continue now to breathe deeply and slowly. In through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to now focus on the muscles of our body. Let's pay attention to each muscle and paying attention to each muscle relaxing. So actually bring your thought to the muscles of your arms and consciously letting them relax. To the muscles of your legs and letting those relax. Feeling yourself sinking deeper into your chair. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth, and let your shoulders relax and fall away from your ears. Feel and notice your body actually growing limp. Imagine yourself relaxing into the floor. Pay attention to your hands and feet, loosening all of the tension in your body. Continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth as your entire body is relaxing. I'm going to ask you now to start wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and return back to present. So this was a guided visualization exercise and physical awareness. And like I had mentioned to you before we began, you do have this script as one of your handouts. So I hope everybody found that to be a beneficial exercise. And we are going to move on and discuss stress and at-risk behaviors. Oftentimes, chronic stress and anxiety can lead to at-risk behaviors. People might be tempted to turn to drugs and alcohol for relief. A report funded by the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism reports that stress can increase substance abuse and trigger relapse after a period of sobriety. A healthy way to handle stress is recommended if substance abuse is something that you personally struggle with. Moderate alcohol consumption is not a concern for many people, but however, people that deal with chronic stress disorder may find that alcohol and other drugs can actually make their anxiety worse. About 20% of Americans with anxiety or mood disorders also have alcohol or another substance abuse disorder. Having both in combination with having both disorders can actually make the symptoms of each disorder worse. PTSD can also cause trouble with substance abuse. In addition, panic disorders can also lead to substance abuse disorders. And substance abuse can often trigger panic attacks. Some strategies that can really help in this situation include replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. And so here I think journaling can be really beneficial. Using exercise to release endorphins. Avoiding stressful situations. Journaling. Make sure to attend support groups. Accept social support. Stress can literally affect every system in our body. Seeking assistance is recommended if you feel like you are suffering from chronic stress. Let's now conclude with a summary of what we covered today. We went over in detail how our bodies respond to stress. We know that some stress can be good and that it is a survival mechanism. What we need to worry about is chronic stress. We discussed some chronic stressful triggers. These can include major life changes, work stress, illness, injury, etc. We also covered some signs and symptoms that you may experience from chronic stress. This was a long list, and some of the symptoms included irritability, headache, and change in appetite. We also discussed some more serious, longer-lasting effects. These include diabetes and high blood pressure. We also explored the concept if blind people actually may experience more stress. I think that we can agree that after hearing the research, in fact, blind people do experience some unique stressors. We also discussed some great ways to manage stress and vision loss. One in particular is making sure not to practice avoidance techniques. Many of us listening to this presentation personally know a blind person that struggles with isolation because of their blindness. This is often from avoidance behaviors. They let the fear of not having the skills to be independent take control of their lives. They choose not to go out because they feel they are not able to travel well. They don't cook because they don't have the alternative techniques to do so. And they lack the social skills to effectively communicate and connect socially. Receiving adjustment training can be a great way to handle this. Also, it can be good to connect with groups that make you feel included and heard. We also did touch upon the connection between stress and at risk behaviors. If this is something that you feel you are struggling with, please reach out for help. I can personally put you in touch with a resource if this is something you feel you would like. I also want to remind everyone that I provided you with 3 handouts. One has a list of iPhone applications that you may find beneficial for stress reduction. Your second handout may has information on essential oils and how they can be used. Finally, I provided you with a script for the physical awareness relaxation activity. Thank you so much for participating in my presentation. This concludes what I have for you today, and I would love to now open up for some questions.
So I just wanted to say that I totally agree with you that I think that blind people have more stress. I have retinitis pigmentosa, and you mentioned that. But like something that I struggle with is that like I can avoid triggers and stuff like that and do stuff in advance so that I don't get like super stressed. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's the people, like just people, and you can't control them. Like they'll either be like really rude or they'll say mean things, or you can like sometimes hear them or see them. And it makes you really upset, and sometimes I just like want to cry like right in the middle of a store or something like that. And I don't think I can like just stand there and like tense my muscles, or you know what I mean? Like is there something that
Mhm.
you can do like when you're right in a moment like that where you just don't have like a space to like lay down and stuff like that? Like is there a trick
Yeah,
or something?
I think deep belly breathing is a really good thing to do. Also, the counting down from 5 and letting each thing go as you count down from 5 to consciously let each thing go. And then like I said, the deep belly breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, which we practice, really works well to engage your parasympathetic nervous system and start to calm down everything that's feeling anxious, like slowing down your heart rate and bringing your blood pressure back down. And that is very, I mean, it is very, very difficult. And I'm totally blind, so I don't see the people stare at me, and I don't see the looks as I walk by. And sometimes I actually think that's a gift. And I do have many friends that have RP and do have remaining vision. And a lot of people also don't realize that people that are blind have some residual vision. Not everybody's totally blind, and they can see you looking at them, and they can see you, staring, and it's very, very difficult. So I definitely can relate, and empathize with what you are experiencing, and I hope that some deep breathing can help in that situation for you.
Thanks. And another question is, so how do you know if you have like a drinking problem or if you're relying on alcohol or something? Like it's easy to know if like, if I'm like not taking Coke or anything, you know what I mean? But like like how would I know if I'm using alcohol kind of like as a crutch for stress as opposed to just enjoying
I
it
think
occasionally?
if you are in a stressful moment or having a stressful day and your mind goes to, I'm going to have a drink, I'm going to use this drug because I am stressed out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that if you notice that doesn't necessarily make you an alcoholic, but if you're noticing that, I think that's a good time to reach out and talk about that with a professional.
Okay, so it's not like I have a drinking problem, but it's like that I'm just using it maybe not socially, but like something that I shouldn't.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for your question. So I'm just going to wrap up here, and I just want to mention that I do have some assessment questions that I'm just going to read out to you now, but I'm actually going to be contacting a few of you individually, if that's okay, to get some feedback, because this is a presentation that I'm doing for a class. So I'm going to run through those questions quickly, and like I said, I'll be contacting you individually. How useful did you find this presentation? 1, not helpful at all. 3, somewhat helpful. 5, very helpful. How likely would you be to use one of the techniques that I showed you today for stress reduction? 1, never. 3, maybe. 5, definitely. How useful did you find the handouts? 1, not helpful at all. 3, somewhat helpful. 5, very helpful. As a blind person, do you feel you experience more stress than others that do not have a vision problem? 1, no. 3, maybe. 5, absolutely. After participating in the interactive stress relieving activities, did you feel more relaxed? 1, no. 3, somewhat. 5, yes. I also love to get any other additional feedback that you have on the presentation, some extra comments. So if I contact you and this is something that you don't want to discuss with me, that's totally fine. And if you have my information or email and you specifically do want to participate in the assessment, please send me an email and I will make sure that I contact you. So that concludes my presentation, and thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.